I've read lots of the top-selling books on bullying, many of them written by well-meaning psychologists and therapists with advice on what you're supposed to do if you're being bullied, and virtually all of them had one piece of extremely bad advice and I think actually dangerous advice. And in this video, I'm going to tell you what it is and what to do about it. So all right, let's do this. I've spent years trying to come up with the best program to help parents and their kids learn what to do if you're being bullied. And I've read all the top-selling books, and again, many of them written by well-meaning psychologists and therapists, and virtually all of them have one piece of bad, if not dangerous advice. And if you're in front of a bully, and they're yelling and they're screaming and they're cussing and spit's flying out of their mouth, right? The books all say what you should do is turn your back on the bully and ignore them, and they'll give up. The problem is, number one, you're breaking the cardinal rule of self-defense. You never want to turn your back on the bully. You never want to turn your back on the threat. You turn your back on them, and they can do anything they want. If I turn my back and I'm not even paying attention, trying to ignore them, if the bully throws a punch, if the bully throws a kick, a knee, an elbow, if they decide to attack me, to tackle me, to grab me, throw me down to the ground, I'm not going to see any of it coming. I'm not going to be able to stop any of it coming. I hate to say this, but what you want to do, what you need to do, is literally face your fears. I mean, I get it. It's scary if you have a bully standing there in front of you and they're screaming and cussing and they're losing control, but you have to face your fears. It's the number one rule of self-defense. Even if you're scared, even if you're nervous on the inside, you literally have to face your fears to see what's coming. If the bully throws a punch, at least you're going to be able to get your hands up and hopefully block it and stop it, or at least defend yourself in some way. If you're turning your back on them, you won't even see it coming. And there's another problem with this, that 33% of all middle schoolers are physically attacked, hit, kicked, slapped, pushed, whatever, by bullies every single year. 33%, 1 out of 3, right? So if the bully's losing control, you have to keep them in your eyesight. You have to be paying attention and see what's coming at you. What you want to do is, number one, like I said, keep them in your eyesight. You got to face your fears. And number two, you want to make distance. You want to create distance. You want to move away as fast as you can. You want to get out there as fast as possible and keep moving and keep moving and keep moving until you're in the next room. So again, you got to keep your eyes on the bully. You got to face your fears. You got to keep them in your eyesight. And to ignore the bully can work, but you don't want to turn your back on the bully. If I want to ignore the bully and just ignore all the insults, all the garbage coming out of their mouth, I can still do that by turning away from them and diffusing the situation with my posture, but I can still see them out of my peripheral vision. I'm going to still keep an eye on them as I'm moving back and moving away and creating distance, right? So keep them in your vision, start making distance, and you can ignore them as long as you can keep them in your peripheral vision. And one last thing, have a plan B, because sometimes if you are trying to ignore them and ignore their insults as you move away, sometimes that might make them even madder. So make sure you're paying attention to them at your peripheral vision in case they decide to ramp things up. Hopefully they'll cool off and they'll calm down and they'll walk away, or at least allow you to walk away, okay? But don't get me wrong, I don't want to ruffle anyone's feathers. The psychologists and the therapists and the authors of all these books have a lot of great advice, and I highly encourage anyone to read these books. But the one rule that you cannot break, the first rule of self-defense, is never give up your back. Don't turn your back on the bully and ignore them. So again, keep them in your eyesight, start making distance, and never turn your back. You gotta face your fears. Until you can, get out of there. All right, if you got some good stuff out of this video, hit the like button and consider subscribing. And please feel free to share it with someone, maybe some other parent that you think it might be able to help out. I hope there's some good stuff in here that makes you all safer. So go make it a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.